We are Southeastern 16. I'm Chase Robinson. That's Chris Lee. As we're going to spend some time talking Tennessee Volunteers today. They've got that big one, 6:30 Central, Saturday night in Athens, Georgia on ABC as Tennessee and the Bulldogs meet up. And Chris, the talk this week is the injury reports came out Wednesday night. We're doing this Thursday morning. We've known Nico Iamaleava has been in concussion protocol. He's listed as questionable on the injury report. Now, you can take these injury reports how you want them to. Obviously, coaches don't want to conceal everything on these reports, but Nico is a huge part of this Tennessee team and concussion protocol. Obviously, you don't want to push him too hard. You don't want to ruin the rest of your season by playing them. So I think this is a huge decision by the Tennessee coaching staff on if he's ready, if he's able, if they should play him in this Georgia game.
Yeah, I think to me, the timeline for this conversation is not just between now and Saturday, right? Because once you start unpacking implications, good and bad, then this can go a lot of ways, right? Because if you're Tennessee, you've still got 2 more games after this, potentially 3, depending on what happens in Athens. And I don't think 2 losses is necessarily disqualifying from the playoff. Now, Tennessee's issue, and by the way, this is going to work back to Nico, okay, in a number of ways. Tennessee's issue is you kind of need that Georgia game to get a marquee win. But if you're down there playing a quarterback who's not 100%, what are your chances of doing that? I don't know. And for full disclosure, we don't know the full story. I've heard multiple things. But I'm going to just throw a thought at you that a Tennessee buddy of mine sent me on a text in a group chat we were having this week. And it was kind of along the lines of this. Do you just maybe, if he's not well, not play him and sort of try to present that game as a mulligan? Hey, we went to Georgia. Tough game to win anyway. Nobody ever wins in Athens. And we didn't have our quarterback because we were concerned about his health. Do you strategically use that a little bit to buy yourself some time? Because let's say you go down there and it goes poorly. You lose the game. He's not healthy. Maybe the situation gets worse. Then you got no time off. UTEP is not a problem. They can beat UTEP with me and you at quarterback. But Vanderbilt and Nashville is a little trickier in a couple of weeks. So, worst case scenario, you go down there, you lose the game with him. Maybe you get upset on your way out. Then it's over. But you go down there, you don't play him, especially if it's a health concern. You lose the game. Now you're not making the SEC championship. You can't pick up another loss. You're 10-2. The computers have got you as a top 10 team, which suggests team quality. Do you just say, hey, guys, we were looking out for our quarterback. We lost at Georgia. Pretty much everybody loses at Georgia, and take your chances with the committee? Because that's an interesting conversation right now.
It is, and an important one. Like you look at this Tennessee team, and it's not like the team revolves around Nico. It does to a point. Good quarterback. He's had some inconsistencies this season, but let's say he doesn't get to play. I think Tennessee is still in an okay position because Gaston Moore comes in there having nothing to lose, and can go out he's not worried about draft stock or anything. Like he can go out and play his game. Like he's a good quarterback too. There's a reason he's at Tennessee under Josh Heupel's offense. I think he fits in well. So, I don't think Tennessee fans can look at this game and say, Nico's out. Is it going to be bad? No, I don't think it will. Like, I think Tennessee can still compete in this game. And so I think that's kind of what you're talking about. Like, I don't think it is like a do or die situation for Tennessee in this game. And I think that's important when you look at this matchup overall.
Yeah, and I can't decide if it is or if it's not.
Yeah.
Again, the problem is Tennessee's schedule wasn't the greatest. Again, when we're talking 2 different things, right? Just because your schedule is weak doesn't mean that you aren't a top 12 team. And I don't know what the committee is going to do. We have seen that 2 losses is not disqualifying at face value so far. And Ole Miss, a team that doesn't have a lot of just great wins. But Ole Miss is squarely in the pecking order for the playoff based on the latest rankings. So do you extrapolate from that, hey, we can go to Athens and lose, not play our quarterback, and maybe get away with it? I don't know. These are a lot of speculative things, and I'm not the guy that controls the committee. But I do wonder. And there's a couple other things I'm going to throw at you, Chase, here I want you to respond to.
Mm-hmm.
Before we do it, reminder, BetOnline, the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college basketball, NHL to UFC, and MMA, head to BetOnline today to get in on all the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right, what could be worse than 10-2? What could be worse than 10-2 at the end of the season would be 10-2 with the health of your quarterback uncertain.
Yes.
And you get the Florida State treatment from last year. Again, in my mind, that is a piece that should be on the table for discussion. Florida State went undefeated last year, did not get in the playoff because they didn't have their quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you go. Surely, I don't think the committee would leave them out of a 10-team playoff at 11-1 with no Nico. But just on that, we did see that affect a situation last year. So I don't know where that settles in the universe of possibilities. Number two, Georgia's run defense isn't outstanding the way it's been in the past. You have a top, 3 or 4 running back in the country probably in Dylan Sampson. Do you just try to play ball control? Hey, maybe you even go slower tempo. I don't know. Keep the number of plays down, try to control the clock. But I do wonder, because that one decision about what do you do with your quarterback and how does that affect the rest of your season, to me, you can make the case you work backwards from that for everything this week.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan Sampson to me is going to be the key to this game, regardless who's at quarterback. Like, I feel like he can be so crucial in this game for Tennessee, because you mentioned Georgia's run defense is not like it has been in the past. So every team has had a hard time stopping Dylan Sampson, and Georgia's going to have a hard time stopping Dylan Sampson this week because he's hard to stop. And so, can they slow him down enough? I don't know. I think he's such a powerful back that he can cause some problems for Georgia. And so I think he is one of the most crucial parts of this game for Tennessee. If he can get going, it could be a good day for you. Again, no matter who is in at quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm going to turn it to you. You're the head coach. Nico is potentially well enough to play, but you're not feeling wonderful about it. You got the Sampson factor. You got the other stuff you talk about. What is it you're doing if you're making the call?
That's tough. I mean, because and here's where when I look at the playoffs, like, it's just so unknown at this point. I know Tennessee doesn't want to get in a position where either way, where they lose this game and so they drop down more, and you still have a game with Vanderbilt coming up. And you don't want to be in a position where you would lose your quarterback, for the rest of the year if something were to happen. So this is so tough. I don't know if it's something we see some of him. They very lightly plays. I don't know. I mean, but I know that they're in it to win it. And so it wouldn't surprise me at all if we see Nico, if he is at all healthy for this game, that we see him start and try to make it happen, because I just feel like in this day, like, you just got to win these games in this 12-team playoff world. It's where you don't have to rely on other people to help you and lose to get into the playoffs. So I think I may play him just because I'm out to win the game Saturday.
Yeah, I liked your answer, and it brought up a couple of thoughts from me. And I think I asked the training staff, look, if this was your kid, what would you do with him? And if they say, if it's my kid, I'm playing him, okay. Maybe he's improved enough during the week that you're fine with it. The other alternative is you go down there, and this is not, as much as I've said Georgia's impossible to beat in Athens. That's history. That may not be present. I mean, this has clearly not been the same Georgia team that we've seen. This was not the Georgia team that coming into the season everybody thought was, 4 to 5 points better than everybody else in the country. This is a Georgia team that probably, throw out win-loss records, maybe fifth, sixth best team in the country. So it's not that situation. You do have a defense that can, throttle back Carson Beck based on what you've seen out of Tennessee, based on what you've seen out of Carson Beck. I mean, maybe all you need is a guy that can get you to 17 points.
Yeah.
When it's 17-14, 17-13, in that case, Nico's probably good enough for a couple of plays. Maybe you go into it where, okay, what's it look like? Can we play this guy in good conscience? If that answer is yes, throw him out there, see how it goes, because then if you win that game, barring an upset to Vanderbilt, and even then I think you might get the benefit of the doubt having won at Georgia and having beaten Alabama. And maybe that's ultimately your answer, right? Is if you can play him where you feel like you're not putting his health at risk. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, no, yeah, I completely agree with you, and that it's a big decision to make, though, if you're Tennessee with the implications. Last point I want to make just about this game for Tennessee is no matter who's in at quarterback, no matter what you do, I feel like one of the biggest things for Tennessee is not starting slow. Whoever's in at quarterback, and whatever the offense looks like, you've got to be able to score in the first half. Georgia is a second half team. Like, you need somebody out there leading you to be able to put some points up in the first half. They struggle with that at times of this season. They went several games without scoring in the first half. You can't do that against a team like Georgia because they've proven to be a second half team.
Yeah, game flow going to be very important here. And Tennessee has not been a fast starting team. One thing I do worry about for Tennessee is if they don't go with Nico, you put Gaston Moore on the spot immediately. Remember what happened in the Alabama game? I think he threw a big pick on like one of his first snaps. So I'm glad you brought that up because I think game flow is kind of an interesting topic too, given the way Tennessee has struggled to score points in the first half.
Yeah, it sure has. But it should be a great game regardless. Coming up in Athens, that is the 6:30 Central primetime ABC, SEC on ABC game Saturday night. So it will be fun. We will be along to react to it Saturday night. So subscribe to our channel if you have not already, and you can check out our live reaction Saturday night after the games are done. We go on about 9:30 Central to recap today's action, so make plans to join us then. We do that in conjunction with all the other great content we put out here on Southeastern 16, whether it's football, basketball, baseball. We've got you covered, all things SEC. For Chris Lee, I'm Chase Robinson. We are Southeastern 16, presented to you by BetOnline.